Previously on YGZ Taiwan. Can you guess who next week's interview is going to be with? Please post your guess in the comments.
When I close my eyes, I can almost see it. When I take a breath, you fill up my lungs. And if my mind worked backwards just for a minute, I'd hold on to you before the memory's gone.
Okay. It was pretty obvious. So anyway, let's get on with it, shall we? Matthew Tai, more commonly known as C-milk, is a popular YouTuber who has provided us with a decade's worth of interesting content based in and around China on his YouTube channel, Laowhy86. C-milk is best known for independently traveling around China on a motorcycle, where he showed us a slice of Chinese life that is rarely seen by foreigners. His YouTube videos are not only fun and exciting, but also extremely informative and cover a vast range of topics, including Chinese politics, lifestyle, culture, and much more. Throughout his time in China, he studied the language and immersed himself in the culture, gaining an insight into a life in China that most foreigners will never know about. Because of his wealth of knowledge and experience gained living in China, when C-milk makes a video about this strange, mysterious country, people watch it and take note of what he has to say. I was also intrigued to find out that C-milk spent some time living and working in Taiwan, where he traveled around the whole country, on a motorcycle of course. His experience in both China and Taiwan makes him the perfect candidate to sit down and answer some questions that I have prepared for him about the two countries. I'm really interested to hear what he has to say.
Remember how we felt alive. I remember you. You make me stronger. Can't go without it much longer. Remember. I remember you.
Hey there, everyone. This is Laowhy86 on YouTube, and I actually used to live in Taiwan. I lived in Taiwan from 2010 to 2011, about a year and a half. And I went there initially because, actually, 1 year after I moved to China, and actually I originally planned to move to Taiwan, not China. I didn't really have any interest in moving to mainland China. I was a bit intimidated, and although I was interested in the country, it didn't seem like a viable place to live. So I thought about Taiwan instead. I had some Taiwanese friends in college, but it wasn't hiring season at the time, so I actually ended up taking a job in China instead. But then afterwards, I was like, I have to see Taiwan, so I ended up being able to find a job while I was in China for Taiwan, and I moved there. And I'll tell you what, it was so vastly different. I made about 5 to 7 times more money in Taiwan. I actually ended up paying off all my student debt, all my student loans within 1 year of working there, because it was so cheap to live in Taiwan, yet I made so much more money compared to China. And the lifestyle was just fantastic. It was just so good. It was an adventure unto itself, and it was so different from China that I knew that I should have gone there to begin with, but I ended up leaving Taiwan after a year and a half just because I felt like my eyes were opened up to China. I really wanted to see what the rest of the country had to offer, and it's massive, right? So although I finished exploring Taiwan, I had always planned to move back there. And if I hadn't moved back to the US, I'll be honest with you, that's exactly where I would have moved. A lot of people say you need to own a scooter in Taiwan. I think not a lot of people, everyone. And if you don't have a scooter in Taiwan, what in God's name are you doing? I mean, it was like a job requirement at the school I worked at. How else are you going to get to and fro school? I mean, the public transportation system it's not amazing, but it's not bad. But I don't really know anyone that use public transport. I think one of the huge allures of Taiwan is that you can easily ride a scooter around. Like a little 125cc scooter, it'll go 60, 65 miles an hour, get you around the entire island. I mean, without a scooter, I just couldn't imagine being in Taiwan, because you're living on this tropical paradise island where everything is beautiful and everything is really, really convenient, and the roads are spotless and amazing. and you can have a quick adventure to a completely different area, within an hour or two day trip. I mean, I remember my buddies and I, we had this little challenge. We'd do this all the time. We would go and ride up into like the betel nut forest, basically in Zhanghua, like right outside of Zhanghua where we lived. And we had this idea one day. We're like, if we play at the beach and hang out at the beach like in Tainan, we could actually go from like Tainan into the interior of Taiwan all the way up to where they're getting frost, basically up in the mountains in Hehuanshan. And so we'd be able to technically see a bit of snow and then at the same time go mess around at the beach within one day, just within hours of each other. And we did it. And it was just one of those things like I could only do this in Taiwan. This is so awesome. Is Taiwan a province of China? I mean, I'm starting to think that these questions are very loaded. It's very obvious that it's not a province of China. If there are people making that claim, it's kind of like a crazy girlfriend that just can't get over the fact that the boyfriend has moved on. Taiwan has its own democracy. It has its own currency. It has its own political system, legal system. It has its own judicial system. It's a free country with freedom of speech, freedom of internet, freedom of movement, land ownership rights. It's diametrically opposed to everything that makes China, at least legally. And there are agreements around the world to protect Taiwan in case of military invasion. You don't invade your own territory, your own territory. So China, lay off Taiwan. It's not its own place. Taiwan's important in 2021 mostly for the chips. I'm not talking about Doritos. It's mostly important because they're the main manufacturer of the world's chip supply. And everyone's vying for that. I mean, you see the global chip shortage and what detriment that has to a lot of nations. So when you are relying on one small source for this, it becomes globally strategically important. And then also just because of its position, I mean, the position in the Taiwan Strait and the South China Sea, any flashpoint that's going to happen when trying to keep China at bay militarily is going to happen around that area. Not to mention China's constant threats of trying to take over Taiwan and at least promising its populace that it's going to do so. And like I said previously, the agreements that Western democracies have kind of put forward saying that we will protect Taiwan in a military conflict, it makes Taiwan a massive potential flashpoint and also very strategically important. Do I plan to come back to Taiwan in the future? Of course. I would say we've been back twice now since we left Asia in general. And I love it. I love Taiwan, from the bottom of my heart. It's one of those places that I didn't appreciate as much until I left, especially when I went back to China. I had a lot of regrets, to be honest. Not regrets that I went to China, but regrets that I didn't start in Taiwan, because if I had, I don't know, I think my life would be a lot different. Not necessarily better or worse, but different, maybe more positive, It's just a positive place to be. It's a very happy place to be, and I just had so many good times there. But that doesn't mean I can't have more good times in the future. I'm definitely going back. Message to Taiwanese people, I think it would be super cliche to say stay strong. I mean, how do you stay strong against this massive 1.4 billion, people up north being told that you're the enemy and traitor, renegade province of their country that they deserve to take back. What I want to say is don't ever fall into the trap of trying to keep your mouth shut because you're intimidated by China or the Chinese government. You are your own populace, you're your own people, and I'd say the biggest message is to people that think that Taiwan is a bargaining chip or some sort of peon in this world. We're talking about a more vibrant democracy than my own country in the U.S. It's something worth fighting for, and it's something that shouldn't be taken for granted. I think that anybody, like I said, anybody that is trying to say that Taiwan is like a part of China needs a severe wake-up call. It's not yours to claim. And I think the general rule of a country, whether it belongs to something, another country or not, is ask the populace. When the vast majority of the people in Taiwan want nothing to do with China, I think that tells you your answer, right? So don't let international politics or people kind of looking down on you because you don't have the power to stand up for yourself get in the way of the fact that you are your own country or your own people, and you should be proud of that.
Good stuff there. I 100% agree with everything that he just said there, and I'd really like to thank C-milk for taking the time out of his busy schedule and agreeing to answering those questions for us. It really was fascinating to hear what he has to say about China and Taiwan. And if you haven't already, go and check out his channel on YouTube and subscribe. Well, anyway, that's it for another video from me, YGZ Taiwan. I'll see you guys next week.